Ladies and gentlemen, today is June 2nd, 2015. And this is the KNKL show 234, Barbie Head Syndrome. And I am Kienan Lafferty. I had to do something like that because we have been starting from a black screen lately. And it appears that the stream is slightly laggy today on Twitch, but whatever, because we're going to just move on. We're going to move through it. I'm looking into getting bandwidth fixed here. Who knows, maybe in the next couple weeks, might be able to stream in 1080p. But regardless, let's go ahead and move into the tutorial. And the reason why we're going right into this, right into Barbie Head Syndrome, normally we like to take a walk down the lovely lane, but we can't do that today because something is up with Facebook and I can't see your awesome art. And it breaks my heart. It breaks my heart. But I will make up for it by hopefully giving you guys a good tutorial today. All right, so let's go ahead and get into this. Okay, so what is Barbie Head Syndrome? Barbie Head Syndrome. Well, another way to say it is the thing that drives Kienan bananas. Basically, where all the female faces that anyone draws, they look the same. It's basically the same head. It's the same head jammed onto a different body, right? Different armor, different clothing, but the face is exactly the same. And even worse, sometimes it tends to look a little expressionless. Basically, it looks like they don't have a brain in their head, okay? Like basically me on, me on a good day. Because usually I'm mindless too, so I understand, why these girls feel this way, right? They're just staring off into space with like this blank stare, and they just have nothing behind it. Just that 1,000-yard stare looking right at you. And so we're going to be experimenting and taking a closer look at this, and I'm going to be demonstrating today a couple ways that you can avoid this. You can avoid this, give a little more character and a little more expression to your girls, specifically girls. So let's go ahead and get into that, okay? So first, let's get in there and discuss the Barbie head. Discuss the Barbie head. And there actually is there's something good to be taken from this, right? And that is actually our measurements. A lot of people talk to me about, how do you know the proportions of the face? How do you know how to just get started with creating a head and creating, just like the measurements of the facial features, okay? And it's basically, I think about this right here, but I'm gonna do it real time for you, okay? So let's go ahead and make a new layer here, and let's go ahead and start with a circle, okay? Oh, actually, I'll do this real time. I'll do this off the face, that way you can actually watch it. Okay, so the first thing I start with is always a circle. Hey, do you think you can manage to draw one of those? I think you can. So you start with a circle, okay? Good old circle. It doesn't have to be perfect, or does it? Okay, so now what you're gonna do is you're gonna divide it in half. Half that circle, half the circle, okay? And this is, okay, it's a little off, but whatever. Just a little bit below that halfway point, you're going to draw another line. This is going to represent your eye mark. This is where your eyes are going to go, but we're getting a little bit ahead of ourselves. Let's go back for a second. Because we need to talk about chins. Chins. Okay, so you guys have heard me many times talk about the way I like to construct my faces is with a circle and then adding a chin shape, okay? Creating sort of like, like an acorn type look, an acorn head. And you might ask me, how far do I know, how do I know how far to bring down the chin, okay? Now, basically, the way that I think about it is, okay, see the distance from here to the bottom of that circle? Well, check this out. If you were to draw that up again, right to that eye line, right about to the eye line, kind of in the middle, just, you kind of want to replicate this, okay? Now, but this is for making the same proportions every time. So that's why I want to urge you guys that this is all just kind of a general idea, general guidelines that you can follow, okay? So let's go ahead and get back to this. Okay, so we've got our chin shape here. Now, here's where things start getting really cool, okay? Because the circle is going to come in really handy in about 2 seconds, because that is the guideline for the nose. The bottom of the circle is the guideline for your nose. And I really like to do this little shape where it's like kind of like a triangle, but then I'll kind of curve down the edges. And this represents our nostrils, all right? This represents our nostrils, but it's a really simple way to just draw in a nose. Okay, now we're going to draw in our eyes. Okay, now keep in mind that this line here, it's not necessarily the middle of the eye, because if you make the middle of the eye there, then they're going to be a little bit high. You can see how they're kind of up there. And this can theoretically work, but it will, like, the consequence of this is going to make your character look like they have a longer face, like a longer nose, which is totally fine. But in general, I like to stick around trying to make the eyes just a little bit lower. So I almost think of this line as the top of the eye. The top of the eye. Okay. So we do that, and then we can do the bottom of the eye. And make sure that you leave a little bit of space here, right? You don't want those eyes going all the way to the side of the head. You don't want them going to suck to the side of the head, because then it's going to look like an alien. And even though I know certain people out there love aliens, it's not going to work in this case. So leave that space. Leave some space. You can draw that tear duct down like that. You might be asking, how do you know how far apart to space the eyes? This is something, I mean, again, the general rule of thumb is the amount of space, like, basically take a look at this. If you were to draw a circle in there, if you were to put that same size circle in between it, it's about an eye space apart. But again, guidelines. Not all faces are the same, and we're going to go into that in a little bit. Okay, so we got this. We got the eyes. Let's go ahead and put a little line above there, so that way we can see our eyelids. Eyebrows. Very good, very good. Okay, now let's do the perfect Barbie doll smile, right? Just a little bit of teeth showing, and then we add some volume up here for the lips up top, and then we have a big bottom lip down here. And voila, we have sculpted the perfect Barbie face. Okay, so the reason why I think a lot of people do stuff like this is because they'll say, okay, I'm gonna draw a pretty face. So what makes a pretty face? Hey, okay, well, let's have like a perfectly let's have like strong cheekbones, right? Like something out of what Cosmopolitan or whatever girls read, whatever that magazine is. Some sort of fashion model, right? They have strong cheekbones, right? So you might put a little bit of shading right there. And then, oh, they have like these very sexy eyes. Very sexy eyes. So it's like, yeah, let's go ahead and do that. And then let's like erase it a little bit. So they're those kind of eyes that just draw you in. Okay? And now you have what you would call a beautiful face. But the problem with this face is that it has no expression. Like, there's no like soul to it. There's no soul in this drawing. And that's what we're going to be solving today. We're going to be talking about adding soul to your pieces. Okay, so we're going to move that over. Now that I have explained how I go about constructing faces, now we're going to move on to, basically, see, I've constructed this face, and now I've replicated it many times through different races, different hairstyles, different, everything is different except for that face and that structure. And this is where we run into that problem, because people will look at your art, and sometimes the faces will all look the same. There's a difference, I really believe, between a style. Like, it's good when someone looks at your work to say, oh, that's so-and-so's style. But the problem arises when all of your faces have just this very, like, almost like plasticky, molded looking face. There's no real character to it. And so that's what we're exploring today. What is character? What makes character? Okay, so let's start with this girl right here. We're going to start with this girl right here. We're going to redraw this face, and then keep in mind what we're trying to achieve, okay? So, and I know she kind of looks like Riven from League of Legends, but maybe that was intentional, maybe not. Well, at any rate, let's go ahead and get started. So, the first thing I'm going to do is we're going to go ahead and start with our circle shape, okay? Circle shape, very good. And then one of the things that I'm going to do right off the bat is I'm going to be keeping in mind, like, this is going to be our warrior woman, or warrior chick, okay? So the first thing that I want to do with my chin shape is I probably want to make the chin maybe slightly more squared off. Instead of coming to like a perfect little point, tiny little point, maybe we'll have a little bit more of like a rounded chin, or like a squared off chin. Okay, so we've got this. Now we divide our circle in half. Just below that is our eye line. But now here's where I think your style can come into play. This is where you start making things interesting. What I want you to start thinking of your faces as is having different kinds of flow to them. Now, if I want someone to feel aggressive, I'm going to have a lot of lines. You know, if you were to draw like an angry face, it would look like this, right? But notice how these lines go inward like this. There's lots of lines that will kind of like flow through the face. If you were to continue, it might go through here, you know, like a mustache or something. But it's good to think about flow in facial features, and that's what we're going to be focusing on today. Okay? So the first thing that I want to do is with this line right here at the top of the eye, yeah, exactly. We're going to kind of draw this down, okay? We're just going to put a top line to represent the top of our eye. Okay? Draw a little line down to do our tear duct. And then we'll go ahead and draw this in. I'm going to lower this eyelid a little bit. Lower it. And it's really cool because with girls' eyes, it's a lot easier because you can literally just thicken the line. You can thicken the top line to make it look like the eyelashes are kind of like lowering, coming down. So let's go ahead and do that. Okay? Now, here's the next thing I'm going to do. I'm going to draw this eyeball in. And let's go ahead and put that little iris in there. Iris and pupil. There we go. So already we have an interesting eye. Now, the reason why I want you guys to focus really heavily on your eyes, one of the biggest things I really believe to avoiding Barbie doll syndrome is in the expressions in your eyes. And the reason why is because 90% of your expression is going to be told through your eyes. And then that is going to be quickly, very quickly kind of backed up by the eyebrows. Because you'll notice there's a big difference between this eyebrow being up like this and then that eyebrow being down like this. See how that immediately changes the expression. You almost want to think about it like this. This is the way I tend to think about it. The amount that the eye is open indicates the level of like interest or like almost like the intensity, you could say. So like if someone's like really bored with you or someone's really bored in a situation, you know, they'll like lower their eyes. They'll kind of like lower their energy. But if someone is like surprised and like looking to the side or they're more aggressive, their eyes are wide open. And that's because, you know, it's almost like a survival instinct. Your eyes will open to see what is around you in moments of high energy or high, just like high action. So, yes, it looks like we are still dropping a little bit of frames, but we're good. All right, continuing on. So, moving on, let's go ahead and draw in this nose. Okay, so here's what I want you guys to do with noses. Remember that M shape that I was talking about? Well, there's all kinds of ways that you can do that M shape. You can have like a narrow nose, right? You can do a nose like this. You can do a narrow nose, and there's your nostrils, okay? So like that, or you could do a wider nose, like this. Wider nose. Or you could do, you know, a lot of things will actually come into play with like 3/4 and all that stuff, because then you start experimenting with like 3D stuff and like depth of the face. But that's another conversation for probably another time. Today I just want to focus on placements of these things and relationships. So let's go ahead and do this. I will give her a slightly more narrow nose because I want it to, again, keep in mind that flow that's happening. I want it to be very pointy. Very pointy. So there we go. I will go ahead and mirror this eye the best I can. Another nice thing is to not get too caught up in making your faces perfectly symmetrical. That's another thing that I purposely did it with these Barbie faces. I drew one half of the face and then like mirrored it so it's exactly symmetrical. And you notice how it just looks creepy. Like you just they look like doll faces. And so yeah, don't make your faces too symmetrical. I think it's more the expression than the symmetrical face. Symmetrical faces are always nice, but just make sure that your expressions are like they look real, basically. They look like they could be made by something other than a porcelain doll. Okay, so we got lowered eyes. Let's go ahead and put in that top of the eye there. And then here's something that'll be really fun, is I want you guys to start playing around with different eyebrow positionings and not have them be symmetrical, right? Because there's an interesting difference between having both eyebrows down like this, see that? And then having one eyebrow down and the other one slightly up. See that? instantly changes the expression. So that's why I was talking about 90% in the eyes, the other 10% is in the eyebrows. Okay? And then the mouth is sort of like the cherry on top. It's the final little dressing. It's the garnish. It's the garnish on the side of the plate that you never really eat, but it looks good there. Okay, that's what the mouth does. So there's all kinds of ways to do different mouths, but the way that I personally like to do it is it's kind of like an anime thing, but I like to draw 2 lines and leave this little space in the middle. And then from there, what I like to do is, depending on, you know, what kind of woman it is, like if she has fuller lips, I'll actually thicken the top lines like this. I personally don't like to do the bottom lip, or if I do, it's very, very, very light. So it's like you can barely see it. And the reason why I do that is because if you make it too dark, then it not only takes away like from the rest of the face, it looks kind of like lipstick, which is if that's what you're going for. If you like that look, then go ahead and do it. But I personally like to accentuate the top lip, but not as crazy as like some of these comic artists do. Sometimes you'll see something like this where it's like the lips will do this thing, like here's the teeth, and then they'll literally have the top lip, it looks like this. Like, I don't know. I don't know what they were thinking when they did that, but I was like, okay guys, like nobody has lips that look like that. But hey, it's their style, you know, whatever works for them. If they like it, then more power to them. But I personally like a little bit more smaller lips. So, and someone will probably make fun of me for saying that, but at any rate. Okay, so there is automatically, see, much more interesting. Much, much more interesting because we have expression. We have a bit of flow happening. We have, you know, not like perfectly, it's like just medium. Like the thing that I think really correlates to a Barbie doll face is everything is just sort of medium. It's like medium-sized eyebrows, medium-sized nose, medium-sized lips. It's like you want to play around with a bunch of different things. Like have slightly, one of the things that I like to do is actually have my girls have slightly thicker eyebrows, especially if they are more of like a manly sort of warrior type woman, or like, you know what I mean, a more aggressive type warrior woman. I like to have thicker eyebrows. I don't know, maybe it's just a thing. It's the thing I have. But anyway, okay, so immediately we can see that this is much more interesting than this. This greater than, or less than rather. Remember, because the Pac-Man eats what he likes. Pac-Man eats what he likes, and he's going over here because this expression is much more interesting. All right, so that's basically how I would go from this down to that. But let's go ahead and finish that up, and then we'll do one more face. Or actually, let's finish this up. I'll take questions, and then we'll move on to this face with our braided hair girl over here, because I really like this one too, and I want to do that one as well because I like to do different races, right? It'll be a really good example. Good example. Okay, so another thing that will make your character appear stronger is having a thicker neck. Right, especially for girls, like you want it to be very subtle, right? See how thin this neck is? Kind of looks a little bit like twiggy. It really looks like a Barbie doll neck because those things are like super tiny. But if you want them to appear stronger, make that neck ever so slightly thicker. Ever so slightly thicker. And you will have a strong woman. All right, and it's supposed to be like ribbon, so I forget what she has. Like a shoulder piece, and then like some sort of like rags over her or whatever. So anyway, but we're not worrying about that. We're not worrying about that right now, especially since we don't have a reference. I know she has like a shoulder piece, so we'll just stick with that. And then let's go ahead and add in our ears. Let's not forget our ears. Ears. Easy way to remember the ears is they start from the bottom of the nose if you were to draw it straight out. And hey, look at that line. That line that comes right out from the top of the eye. That's where the ear ends. Wow. Amazing. Amazing. And I really want to see if there's a way for me to kill this. Okay, there we go. Shot glass challenge. Oh, shot glass challenge lips. Yeah, that's Pownex. That's exactly what they look like. All right, well, let's continue with this. Let's continue with our girly over here. Let's give her the same hair. Same hair. basically. Let's go ahead and just do that. Go ahead and do that. Oh, another thing you'll notice is I put that little bit of blush on the top of the nose. And I really like to add just a little bit of pigment on the girl's cheeks and in the nose, because it just makes their cheeks look rosy and super cute. Even when they are like the aggressive type warrior woman, I still like them to be beautiful in their own way. You know what I mean? Still gotta be hot. Alright, so let's go ahead and do that. Very good. And look, I'm just following that line. I'm thinking about the forehead, but because the hair has volume, we're gonna make sure we communicate that. Okay? So there we go. There we go. And there you have your woman. There you have your woman. Another really cool thing about having line sculpting is that, especially on the outer edges, like with just these lines, you can literally change the shape of the face. Like, I actually want this face to just be slightly more thin on the edges. And look what I can do here. I can basically sculpt the inside of the line and then sort of shave away the outside. And then that can also change the shape of the face. You can change the volume of certain things just by messing around with that. And voila. You have ribbon. You have ribbon. All right. Oh, and I'll put a little bit of shadow underneath the eyes too. Sometimes that helps. Yeah, actually, I don't like that. Just a little bit. Just a little bit. Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen. So that's an example. That's an example one of how to just take this face and just add some expression to it. Add some expression to it. So, but we used kind of the same measurements that we did in our Barbie doll face, but we just kind of like varied it up slightly. So with this next piece, what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you a little bit more variations off of that. A little bit more variations in the facial features. But before we get into that, it's time for the question catapults! All right, ladies and gentlemen, please cast your questions over the castle walls, and I will answer them as I draw this next lady. And I will answer them. Oh yeah, you like the hair? Just got it cut like a couple days ago. Still getting used to it. Still getting used to it. But at any rate, let's go ahead and get back to this. Let's get back to this. It is just so hot. It is so hot in here. It's like throwing me off. Throwing me off. Blows me away. Blows me away. Questions coming in. Let's go ahead and do the same thing with our black girl here, because I really like her hair. Really like her hair. Same thing. Same thing. All right. So we're going to start with this. We're going to start with our circle, as we did before. First question coming in. Someone's asking, do I still use... His name is literally someone. Which, Brandon Liu. That is Brandon Liu. He's asking, do I still use the chalk brush? Yes, I do. That is the brush I'm using right now. And I love it. And I love it. Let's see here. The comparison between the Barbie doll face and face with features is scary. Customizing workspaces in Photoshop. That's actually something that I haven't really done a lot of necessarily, but you can basically take a look at mine. You can see mine right here. I basically have, like if I turn this off here, I have my navigator right up top. It's basically navigator, history, layers. That's all that I need. Like I don't have swatches. I mean, I got channels and paths here. I don't even know what the heck paths is, but it's just navigator, history, layers. And I will also say this, that having a nice monitor, having a high resolution monitor, I think this is like at least a 1080p monitor, really does help out a lot, because it allows you to just see more of your canvas and just having a bigger monitor in general is just nice. I think this one's like a 27-inch. I'm not sure, but it's nice. It's a nice big 27-inch Samsung monitor. Got it from Best Buy. Probably could have saved money if I got it on Amazon, but we don't like to think about that. Moving on. How can we know where things are going to be placed when the face is a little turned? Matthew, that is a great question, and that is something that we can touch on next week because, as I said, once you go into 3/4, you actually start entering another realm. But let's go ahead and do this. Okay, so our eye line is going to be there. For this face, I'm actually going to make it a slight bit wider. I'm going to make it a little bit more wide. Okay, so in order to do that, I'm actually not going to change the size of the circle, but rather I'm going to make the chin shorter. I'm going to make the chin shorter. And this is where things start to get really cool, guys. And that is through subtleties. Subtleties is basically going to make the difference in all of your faces. So let's go ahead and draw in these eyes here. So let's go ahead and do this. I personally really like the almond-shaped eyes where they kind of like curve upwards, like they curve upwards there. Just makes them look a little more mysterious. But again, even that you want to be careful with not doing too much of. Don't rely on one type of eye. But in this case, I'm going to break my own rule. All right, so let's go ahead and do that. Okay, so let's go ahead and drop in that pupil. There we go. Okay, now I will make her eyes very just sort of relaxed. But still slightly asymmetrical. Okay? We'll have them be a little bit more thin. Let's play around with a little more thicks and thins. So she'll have very, very thin eyebrows. Right? And here's our guideline for our nose. I'm going to give her a slightly like higher nose. And it's going to be a little bit wider as well. So we're going to go ahead and have something more like this. Okay? I actually like having like thinner lower lashes as well. Lovely lower lashes. Cool. All right, let me take another question while I'm working on this. Mad Siren is asking, how would I suggest getting used to a drawing tablet in terms of coordination? Okay, so yeah, other than practice, what I would do is that first of all, there's a couple different things that people try to do. Is that you get the tablet and you have to get used to working down here. You got your hand down here and looking straight ahead. Now, things that I would suggest to start getting comfortable with it is realize that you're never going to be as precise as you can with a pencil and a notebook. And I think a lot of people have that false assumption that that's the way it's going to be. So the way that I go about building my coordination is you'll notice that when I draw a circle, I actually draw it in like little segments. It's almost like, I call it the train track. So you like draw a little piece and then you add another piece of the track on. And then you kind of like go back in and then see how I'm just kind of like sculpting it around. And then I go back in with my eraser. You want to get good at doing this. You want to get good at like flipping your pen over and over and over again. Because this is the way I like to do it. Or you can just hit E if you want to bounce between hitting B and E. Hotkeys is also another really important thing. So learning that. But I choose to just flip it around. I'll kind of sculpt my lines into place. And then you get something like that. That helps. Yeah, just drawing different circles. Like straight lines are also kind of nice too. I think it just really comes down to just getting familiar. It's almost like it's a new appendage. It's a new, think of it as you just got a bionic arm and now you have to learn how to reuse it all over again. And so that's basically what a tablet is. It's a brand new apparatus for you to express yourself with. And it will take a little bit of time. But once you get it down, it's freaking awesome. So keep it up. And if you're like me, I like to work really super sloppy. So I like to do the line sculpting technique, as I've taught you guys many times. Taught you guys that many times. Okay, but anyway, back to our lady here. Let's see. Designing characters. Versuvio is asking about designing characters. Well, hey, look at that. We're doing that right now in terms of designing, actual, like, faces. We're designing faces right now. But as far as characters go, I usually like to talk about my design choices in terms of, like, the rule of thirds. Or, no, not the rule of thirds. The rule of small, medium, large. Okay? So here's my design principle in a nutshell. This will probably make no sense if there's no context, but it's medium, small, large. Basically, all of your designs should revolve around this. So if you're designing like a chest plate, it should have areas of medium space, areas of small space, which is usually kind of like a trim. Here, let me actually demonstrate this. So here's like my awesome chest piece. Okay, here we go. Okay, yeah, okay. So here's like the pecs, and then it's like one of those like sculpted things on the abs, so it's like got abs in the plates. Okay, so basically you want to think about large spaces. So here's the pecs, and then you'll have like medium spaces, or rather small spaces, which is like, hey, there's the trim, and then medium spaces, which could be like some sort of design in there. That's basically how I design stuff. It's really super simple. I'm probably simplifying it way more than it should be, but there's your next League of Legends champion armor right there. Football player. Football Darius. There you go. Football armor. Okay, but anyway, let's get back to this girl. Okay, so same principle. I start off the lips like this. And it's very interesting to draw them like this because it's actually really, really fun. Because you can draw whatever expression you'd like. In fact, I'll give her a smile. How about we give her a smile? You can draw whatever expression you like with these two lines. Right? And then you can build off of that. You can almost like draw in the lips as thick as you would like. So let's give her bigger lips. So she's going to look like this. See, look at that. Ah, brilliant, no? Brilliant. And then, oh, again, don't go too dark with that lower lip. Careful with that one. Very careful with that one. Put a little shine on it for good measure. Shine on. And then there is a shadow, if you notice, but beneath your lower lip, there's a little shadow right there. So kind of add that in. Now immediately, look at these two faces. See how we have created two distinctly different faces because we have just played around with our proportions. We've used the circle and the chin shape method as a place to get started, but we've said, hey, you know what? I'm going to make this chin, this face rather, just a little bit shorter. I'm going to make this chin a little bit shorter. Maybe I'll make the face a little rounder too. Maybe I'll make the eyebrows a little bit thinner. The eyes a little lower, slightly wider spaced apart. And there you have a whole different face. A whole new face. And there you go. And don't forget the little blush above the nose there that I love so much. You can steal it. I don't care. You can steal it if you want. So let's go ahead and finish this face. And then we will compare the two. I'm kind of bummed that I did this face at the end. I kind of wish I would have done this one's. I kind of like this one more than the other one. It has a lot more character. It demonstrates the differences in the faces a lot better because I use different proportions. So I hope that this helps you guys out. All right, now let's give her those same. Let's give her those same dreads, or rather cornrows. Those aren't dreads. It's got cornrows. Girl got cornrows. All right, yeah. Me likey. And also keep in mind the hairline. You don't want to bring it too far back, because then she'll look like she's balding or something. There we go. I'm basically just drawing in shapes. Like you guys notice how I'm not drawing, okay, we got to draw braids. Okay, so let's like get in there. Get in there and like draw some braids. Yeah, okay, so it like starts like this, and then it's like that, and then it's like that, and that. I'm not doing that. I'm just going in and I'm literally just drawing a shape there, okay? And the way that I like to go about making braids is actually very cool. and I'll show you how I go about doing that. I've shown it before, but I will demonstrate it once more for you. Let's go ahead and have that braid coming down here. And shape, 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 like that. Oh! Lovely. Lovely face. Lovely face. Alright, guys, I'm going to show you how to do braids right now. This will forever change your life if you ever need to do braids. So check it out. You make a shape like this, and then you go like this. You make little cross hatches going up like this, right, of one side. And then you draw cross hatches going the other way, but you fit them in right in between each one. And then, hey, look at that. Oh, man, you just drew braids. You just drew perfect braids. And then you can kind of like shade this in to add a little bit more depth to it. But that's basically it. Easy, huh? So you just go 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2, like that. See? And there you go. You got your braids going on. And you just replicate that through the whole face. And voila. Let's give her a little tone as well. I like that tone that she has here. And let's compare. Alright guys, so I hope this has been beneficial to you. I hope you guys have learned something today about faces and staying away from that Barbie doll syndrome. Okay, it's okay to have similar proportions, but make sure that you're varying it up ever so slightly, ever so slightly. As I've demonstrated here, it doesn't take much. It does not take much to get your own awesome look. I actually really like this girl. She's really cute. Very cute. And with that, we're going to take one last question. And then we're going to end today's show. All right. Last question coming in. Acid Eyes is asking, where can I watch your previous videos? I am on YouTube. If you just type in KNKL show on YouTube, you can watch all of my previous videos. And the last question. Let's see. It looks like you guys are actually good. Yep, looks like you're good. All right, so yeah, just basically comparing between here. What have we learned today? Let's sum everything up. A, that it's okay. It's okay to use these measurements. It's okay to use all these measurements to start your face, but always be thinking about little ways that you can change things up. Maybe a slightly shorter chin. Maybe a slightly wider face. Longer spaced eyes. Smaller eyes. Bigger eyes. Smaller, eyebrows. There's all kinds of things that you can do. And basically, we want to go from this up top, from up here. We want to stay away from this. And we want to go down to here. We want to show some expression. We want to show differences because everybody is a beautiful, unique snowflake. And they all deserve to be represented in a nice little drawing of themselves. All right, ladies and gentlemen, before we take off, I just want to say thank you to everyone who has joined me on Twitch. And also, if you guys enjoyed today's tutorial and you like the PSD and you'd like to get this PSD for yourself, I will be uploading it to my Patreon. Thank you guys so much for getting us to $853. That is so awesome, you guys. I bow down to you. You guys are awesome. And speaking of Patreon, if you want to join Patreon, you're watching on YouTube, click that link on the bottom right. I'll also post a link in the chat for people on Twitch. And before we go, I do want to say thank you so much to my awesome sponsors, my KNKL champions, soon to be defenders of the KNKL kingdom. These guys are awesome, awesome, awesome people. Laura, David, Mitchell, I love you guys. Laura, I did not animate your ears yet. I'm so sorry. I'm going to get on that ASAP. But these guys are awesome. And if you'd like to sponsor the show, you can also do that through my Patreon. All right, people. Thank you again for joining me. People on YouTube, thumbs up if you like, thumbs down if you don't. I'm totally messed up. Like my usual pattern, my habit of how I say my outro is different now. So, yes, thumbs up if you like it, thumbs down if you don't. I am Kienan Lafferty. You guys take care of yourselves. I'll see you on Thursday for our Thoughtful. Got an awesome lesson planned. Can't wait to see you guys then. Until that time comes, you guys take care. See ya.